Palacios.
Here.
Lancaster. Terry.
Here.
Vasquez.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
We have quorum in place.
Posted on our agenda. There would be the sign control board minutes for June 5th, 2023. We have those, we can put up on the. Okay, right. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting. That was where we approved the extended signage for the academy, if everyone recalls that. We'll need a second.
I'll second.
Right. We have a motion to approve and seconded, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So our action item today is consider a request by Michael Rivette on behalf of Academy Sports and Outdoors, VR 23-004, to request a variance to City of Kyle sign ordinance, Chapter 29, Section 29-24E, to exceed the maximum area allowed for window signage for property located at 5755 Kyle Parkway, Suite 200 in Hays County, Texas. And we'll open a public hearing. Please state your name.
My name is David Ratliff. I am from Sept Services in South Bend, Indiana, and I am here on behalf of Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Okay.
As you stated, we are here asking for variance to get an increase on the window signage at the new facility that they're going to be opening up in a couple of weeks. Currently, the code allows for 25% of the windows to be covered on the front facade. We're actually asking for full coverage on 2 of the windows, which would end up being a total of 144 square feet, which is a 75% relief from the code. We have a multitude of reasons why we're asking for this increase. One of the reasons is the setback of the building is like 835 feet from the road, so this location doesn't exactly stand out where it's located in the plaza. There is a multi-tenant sign that Academy Sports is represented on, but it is on the opposite side of the plaza. So we're basically looking for something more on the interior that motorists driving through the lot or pedestrian traffic can see, and just kind of calls out to them, hey, we got the sign that we propose saying, hey, we guarantee the best prices, or we'll match it at a 5% decrease. The other reason is on the inside of the building, from those windows there are walls that were built on the inside that unfortunately they built too close to the window, so you can't get behind it. And as a result, it's unfinished, and there's going to be insulation and wiring that would be visible from the outside, which it doesn't really look good. This is unfortunately an unintended architectural feature, so we're just trying to close that off so when people are walking by, it doesn't look unfinished. The walls were put in as a security measure, an additional security measure, as Academy Sports and Outdoors does sell firearms and hunting knives, and so they don't want those visible from the outside. That's why they built the walls. We basically just want to cover those walls so it kind of ties the site together, so it looks nice, so it's aesthetically appealing to people, and also kind of gives an interior call out to customers saying, hey, come visit us if you need hunting, fishing, outdoorsy gear. Those are the main reasons. There's no real safety hazard to the public. You're not going to see these signs from the exterior streets. I mean, if you are, then you're driving like this and you're looking for a reason to get into an accident. So it's not something that we're trying to call attention to ourselves from outside of the property. It's more of an internal call out to potential customers. And as I said, just to kind of draw the, bring the site together, make it aesthetically pleasing, and just give an overall positive view of the store.
Okay. Are there any other public comments at this time? Okay. All right, well, I'm going to close the comment period. And then when we have our discussion period, we can ask you for additional questions and insight. Okay? Are there no other individuals wishing to make a public comment? We'll close public comment period at 6:40. At this time, we'll entertain the city's position.
All right, good evening. Kayla Sharp, city planner for the record. So we are considering an exception to the sign code for Academy located at 5755 Kyle Parkway, Suite 200. The property line's actually about 350 feet off of Kyle Parkway and approximately 1,000 feet back from the I-35 North Frontage Road. So that kind of gives you an idea of the location that we're looking at. The applicant is seeking a waiver from Chapter 29, Section 29-24E, which says that window signs may be placed so as not to obscure more than 25% of the visible window area. And then this request, if granted, will allow for 100% coverage of 2 of the windows on the front facade. Just as a bit of a reminder, this is all of the criteria that has to be met in order to grant a waiver. So it's not it meets one, it has to meet all of these on this list. So, and then here is what they're proposing. So it's the 2 windows on either side of the front door. And then the renderings for the building were approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission before the building was built. And the windows were required as part of that. So, and then this is a little bit of a closer view. So it's about 72 square feet per window. So, and that's pretty much all I have for you. Staff does not believe that this meets the criteria to be granted an exception. So as such, we would not recommend approval. Do y'all have any questions for staff?
Okay. All right, this time we can do one of 2 things. We can enter into a discussion on it, or we can entertain a motion, or and then just move into discussion, or
Can you show the code, please? Go back.
This one or the definition?
No, this one.
Okay.
Thank you. Should we enter to discussion?
we can do one of 2 things. You can ask questions of the city or the petitioner, or we can make a motion and then have that seconded and then go to discussion before we take a vote.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay? But we'll start.
And I take it this is for the petitioner, but the, on the window, is this advertisement, is it paper or is it permanent?
It would be vinyl.
Vinyl?
Yeah.
But is it permanent so this means that the windows will be covered throughout the whole
That is the
opening?
intent, yes.
Okay.
They could
And
be
the
changed
advertisement,
out.
what,
So, yeah, they could be changed out so they can change out what they say. on
it'll be
there,
the same
but this-
size?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the size of the window itself, so it would be basically in perpetuity, so it would, if this is granted, it would be allowed for the lifetime of Academy being in that.
Does that
Okay.
only apply to Academy's leasing if we grant the variance, or does it adhere to the property and allow any future tenants?
I believe it would only apply to Academy.
And is it a vinyl film that goes on the exterior, or is that on the interior of the window?
It honestly can be done either way. In this instance, given the way that the wall was built and they're not able to get to the inside, it would be put on, the plan would be to put it on the exterior.
And then I have a question for the city. When they, when the plans were approved by Academy, there was no wiring and security and all that behind the plan, the original?
I'm not sure on the building permit side, but the architectural renderings were approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. That included having windows there.
But without the obstruction that he's saying.
I
is
believe
there
that was the intent, was that there would be windows visible.
now. Right on. Thank you.
What's the distance? Do you have an architectural drawing of the wall behind this window?
I do not.
How far back it is?
That I honestly don't know. I went there today and I could not gain access because that was one of the things I wanted to find out. From what I understand, from what I have been told, I would not be able to get behind it. Like someone of my size would not be able to get behind it. And there's very little maneuverability. If somebody could, to appropriately hang any vinyl or any signage in that area on the inside.
Okay, and this question is for the city. With regards the requirement of only be covered 25%, can you repeat what are the reasons? I mean, I know it doesn't comply to the 25%, but what's the reasoning behind the 25%?
I'm not sure as to the reasoning exactly. The code just says that 25% visibility needs to be maintained on the windows in regards to not being covered by like
And
signage.
I can answer that question because I was part of writing the original ordinance. It was to prevent people from painting garish signage on their windows and using the whole storefront as a billboard. Because, depending upon how much window space that you have, people were muraling and creating banners, and that was something that was opposed by the city council and the Planning and Zoning Commission, so that people couldn't just paint their windows and decide that it would be something different. So the rule was put into place that you could stencil or put posters or something in windows as long as it didn't obstruct more than 25% of the window. And that was originally the design by the city council when it was approved. So, for us to set that aside, there would have to be some extreme extenuating circumstances.
Are there other windows?
There are other windows in the facility. It's just these two have
These two in
walls
the
behind them.
front, right.
And
Yes, there are, I will say, some of the other windows on the front facade, and I don't remember the material at the moment, but they're kind of a material that kind of limits visibility into the interior, so they kind of.
Well, there's not any regulation that prevents tinting. I mean, if you were just to take the lettering itself and you stenciled with a clear, and then have that, it wouldn't be 25% of the window, just the stenciling there. If that letters were stenciled on there, that wouldn't even require them to come in and ask approval for it. The issue is that they put a wall behind the window that then has, unpleasant appearance behind it. So, I mean, they could tint the window. It could be a dark tint. it doesn't make it opaque, as long as it could be viewed through, and then they could have, you know, a white stencil on the outside, it would still fall within that boundary. In the past, I mean, other big box stores in the past have always taken windows like this, and they've put casements behind it where they could actually go in behind there and then do seasonal displays and things like that. I mean, that's, you know, traditional
Right.
retail marketing. In this case, they've got a structure behind it, and that was not, and they didn't make allowances for access or removable panels and stuff.
Do we have any other buildings with this exception that we have passed in the past?
Not to my knowledge. This is kind of an interesting one because there's actually no permit required for these signs, but it is written into the code that you can't have more than 25%. So in my time here, this is one of the few times we've been asked about window signage. I don't know if it's been asked about before I was here. But to my knowledge, we don't have any other businesses that have asked for this waiver.
Those are all my questions.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we'll any other questions for the developer? Okay, we'll need a motion on the. Does anyone want to entertain a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and second. We'll take a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion's granted.
Thank you very much.
That's it. There are no other items on the agenda, so we will adjourn. It is 6:40 or 6:50.